Hi everyone, and welcome to the Planetizen Week in Review. This was a week packed with news from the housing market and the economy, and some of it was even good news, starting with new data from the US Census on income and poverty levels in the United States. The news was good for Americans all over the country and in almost every level of income. Middle and lower income Americans especially gained new levels of household income. The exception really was in rural areas around the country where median household income actually fell between 2014 and 2015. But with decreasing poverty and rising income for middle and lower incomes, that means less inequality around the country, and that's definitely good news. If you want to read more about that new census data, there was a lot of media coverage, so you have a lot of options for that additional research. Another interesting study that inspired a lot of media coverage this week came from BuildZoom, which goes into detail about US development around the country, basically finding that almost all development in recent years has been of the low density variety, even that is when it was built in urban areas. So the point raised, and this is an important point raised by the study, is whether or not sprawl is really a fundamental characteristic of keeping housing affordable in the United States. The trade-offs between density and sprawl and housing affordability are all a very large ongoing challenge for the country. And in another survey released this week by the NHP Foundation, Americans are reporting high levels of anxiety with regard to housing. Some 75% of survey respondents reported that they fear losing their housing, and 40% of respondents said that they fear losing a job and then becoming homeless as a result. So despite the good news about income and poverty this week, there's still a lot of consternation and anxiety about the economy and about housing in the United States. The Brookings Institution released a new study recently finding a large sum of money has been devoted to American sports stadiums via tax-exempt bonds since the year 2000. Since then, 35 stadiums have been financed with tax-exempt bonds, amounting to $3.2 billion worth of federal subsidies. The Brookings Institution also included a ranking of sorts of all the American stadiums receiving subsidies since 2000, led, of course, by the very famous home to the New York Yankees in the Bronx. And that's it for this week. I hope you'll join me again next week for the Planetizen Week in Review.